Hey y'all, welcome to Gamira's Kitchen. Today we're going to make an easy shrimp and crab seafood boil, and I'm also going to teach you how to do this so that you can make the best seafood sauce. This is a new method that I came up with for making the seafood boil and the sauce, and I promise you it's going to be super delicious. So let's go ahead and go over these ingredients. I have 5 eggs, 8 cloves of garlic that I have minced. I'm using 2 pounds of king crab. I have defrosted them. I have cleaned those dirty shells very well, and I've run them over running water to make sure that they are super clean. I'm using 5 potatoes. Now you can use russet potatoes like I'm using, or you can also use the red potatoes, some Old Bay hot sauce, 2 lemons, 1 onion that I have diced. This is a scotch bonnet, as well as some thyme leaves, some sugar, just a little bit, and some parsley, some butter, some shrimp Maggie cubes or jumbo cubes, and Old Bay. Of course, we're using 1 pound of shrimp, but you can use as much as you like. And for my additional seasonings, I have my Cajun seasoning of choice, which is Tony's, my Sazon Tropical, which is so delicious in this, as well as my own homemade salt-free Cajun seasoning, but you use whatever salt-free Cajun seasoning that you like, as well as some corn. This is fresh corn that I've cut, but you can also use defrosted frozen. To start with the veggie prep, I'm going to peel these potatoes because I do not like to leave the skin on the russet potatoes when I use them. But if I were using the yellow potatoes or the red, I would leave the skin, and then I'm going to cut it to my desired size. I'm going to cut the potatoes into 4s, and some of them that are a little bit smaller, I'm going to go in and I'm going to cut those into 3s. Now I'm going to place these pieces into some cold water at the side. This is going to help prevent them from turning color until they are ready to be cooked. Now, I have added some water to the stove and I've turned the stove on, but my water is not hot, and this is really important so that you do not bust the boiled eggs. Into this water, I'm adding 1 of the shrimp cubes, I'm adding some Old Bay, some salt to taste, and I'm also putting in some of the salt-free Cajun seasoning. As you can see, right now the water is not boiling yet. This is the perfect time to put in the boiled eggs, or the raw eggs, I should say, because it prevents the shells from cracking, and now while they're in there, it's going to come to boiling. Once the water is at boiling, I'm going to go ahead and toss in my corn and my potatoes. Now you may notice that I didn't put as much seasonings as some people do in the water, and that's because the sauce is going to have so much seasoning that I don't want to overdo it, but feel free to use more than me. Now y'all, this is where it's gonna get good, okay? This is where we are going to start building up all the flavors for our dish, and I'm gonna start sharing with you guys some of the secrets that I got going on, okay? So we're going to start building this Cajun sauce like you would do a lot of other sauces, with the butter and then the thyme, and of course I'm gonna be sweating the onions. Now, unlike a lot of those other dishes, I am going to actually be cooking the crab and the shrimp in the sauce itself. That way the crab and the shrimp is going to infuse their flavor into this sauce. It's going to be so amazing. Now, as you see, I went ahead and added some of the Tony seasoning, and I'm going in with about 1 tablespoon of the salt-free Cajun seasoning. I'm going to let this go ahead and start to toast in the butter. This is on like medium low heat. And then I'm going to throw in that scotch bonnet. I'm not going to bust it. It's just going to add a little bit of heat, but not too much. Put some of the Sazon Tropical in and crush in 1 more of the shrimp jumbo cubes. Add some Old Bay, a little bit of more butter, and I'm going to put in the sugar to balance the flavors and balance the heat in this seafood boil sauce. And then I'm going to put in half of a juice of a lemon. I'm going to stir it and just let everything melt together and toast for just about 1 minute. Okay, you really want the flavor to develop, and then I'm going to put in the garlic. This is only going to toast for just about 30 seconds on its own. You put it in near the end because you don't want the garlic to lose its flavor. And now I'm going to put in a little bit of seafood broth. Okay, this is a little bit of like shrimp broth. And this is going to help us get enough sauce to cook the crab in. You could also use chicken broth, and I'm just going to let this simmer for about 1 minute. Now at this point, this has been cooking for about 10 minutes. Okay, so from the boil, it's been 10 minutes, and now it's time to take out the eggs. Now, if you want to cook your eggs longer, feel free. You know, do you. It's your egg, boo. Okay? But I'm now going to take the eggs out, and I'm going to allow the potatoes and the corn to cook for about 5 more minutes because they're not quite soft yet. Now, my sauce has now had a little bit of time to develop some really good flavor, and I'm going to up the flavor just a little bit more. Okay? This Old Bay hot sauce is really good, but if you can't find this, feel free to just use any hot sauce that you prefer. Like a Louisiana hot sauce would be great. I'm going to add the other half of that lemon, a little bit more Cajun seasoning, and I'm going to stick in, of course, y'all know, some more butter, baby. Okay, we love butter around here. And I'm going to continue to stir the sauce and put in a little bit more of this broth. At this point, it just depends on how much seafood you have, depends on how much broth you add. As you can see, I'm putting the crab right into the sauce. What this is going to do is the crab is going to essentially steam right in the sauce, release its all delicious crabby juices, and then I'm going to have a special way that I cook down the sauce to get it to maximize the total flavor. If you're doing a small amount of seafood on a seafood boil, this is the perfect way to do it because you don't have a lot of spices and things that you waste, you know, when you do the boil in the pot. I just feel like you waste so much seasoning that you have to dump down the drain. And this way, none of it gets lost, and you're actually enhancing the flavor of the dish itself. Now I'm tossing this crab just to get it all coated on all the sides with this delicious sauce. And of course, you want to make sure that, you know, everything is coated well. To do that and assist me with that, I even went in with a spoon and I decided to just start pouring it into the crab just to make sure all the flavor was down to the meat. Okay, down to the meat, right? Now, once I get everything coated and covered to my liking, I am going to cook this covered for about 6 minutes once it hits a boil. Okay, I decided I wanted a little extra flavor, so you know, I just toss a little Old Bay on there. Okay, just toss a little more Old Bay hot sauce. That's optional though. Okay, and a little bit more of the Old Bay, and I'm going to cover this and let it cook for 6 minutes. It's now been a total of 15 minutes since I started cooking the corn and potatoes. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to fetch out that corn. I'm pretty confident it's done. If you were using frozen corn, it would have been done probably about the same time the eggs were ready. And I'm also going to test my potatoes. I take a fork and I just stick it in there to see if it is soft enough. And for me, I feel like mine are good to go. So I'm going to go in and fetch out my potatoes as well. Of course, you cook yours to your desired doneness. Now guys, if you feel like I am giving you value and I'm giving you lots of great tips, please go ahead and press the like button. If you are enjoying my recipes, also press the subscribe button. It is free and I put new recipes out every week and I give loads of tips in my videos. Now it has been 6 minutes since I have started cooking the crab. Now I only did 6 minutes so far because remember, the crab is already cooked, okay? You're just heating it up. If you feel like you need a little bit longer, I wouldn't go any more than 8 minutes before adding the shrimp. Now we all know shrimp cook quick. Okay, shrimp cook with the quickness, right? You can only put this shrimp in here for about 2 to 3 minutes. So don't even play and try to let that shrimp go for about 5 minutes because you're going to have some rubbery shrimp, all right? So I'm placing my shrimp in the sauce on top of the crab all around, mostly trying to get it in contact with the sauce so that it can get the flavor. And I'm going to cover this and I'm going to let this whole thing go for about 2 to 3 minutes until my shrimp has turned pink and it has started to curl a little bit. Then you're going to know that it is ready. Once I believe my shrimp is ready, go ahead and start taking everything out. I'm going to start with the crab and I'm putting everything to the side on a baking sheet that is lined with foil, okay? It's going to catch the little juices. If you want to keep this super warm, here's another tip. Have your oven on 200 and just let the crab sit in there while you get the sauce and everything ready. Once you take everything out, you could also have your eggs just sitting in the oven on 200. That way everything is going to stay super warm. All right. Now, once I get all these shrimp out, you're going to see that my sauce is a little bit liquidy because, of course, we added the shrimp broth, right? So we got to cook this down. But, ooh, here's another tip, y'all. While I let the sauce cook down, I go ahead and add in some okra. Look, if you ain't tried okra cooked in this seafood sauce, you're missing out. It is really good, and it does not make the sauce, slimy at all. If you see me picking it up, the sauce is not slimy, okay? I just let this okra cook while my sauce was reducing. And if you want to, you can just cover it, for a little while, let it steam if it's not fully cooked. But when it was ready, I went ahead and took it out. But I like doing this because it gets in a extra veggie and the taste is truly phenomenal. And it's something green that you can add with this meal if you like. But this is totally optional. If you don't want to do this, then just let your sauce reduce on its own, okay? But by letting our sauce reduce, we have concentrated all the flavor from the shrimp and the crab. Now at this point, how much seafood sauce you want depends on how much butter you add. If you add in about 1 to 2 sticks of butter, then you're going to have a lot of sauce. I added in about half a stick of butter because that's about how much sauce I wanted. But this sauce is truly phenomenal and super tasty. It has all the seafood flavors in there. Now I have unpeeled my eggs and I've plated everything and I've topped everything with another half of the lemon. I'm going in with some of the Tonys and then I'm going to drizzle on a lot of that delicious seafood sauce that I have at the side. It is phenomenal. My husband really loved this sauce. He thought it was so great, and we've even eaten seafood boils at places like the Juicy Crab, and I promise you that if you follow this recipe and this technique, your seafood boil will be able to compete with all those restaurants. They won't have anything on you. I would love to thank you so much for joining me today in Kamira's Kitchen. If you enjoyed this recipe, please leave me a like and a comment and let me know how it went for you. If you try it, you can tag me on Instagram at Kamira's Kitchen. I hope that you stay blessed and always know that God loves you the most and I love you as well. Never lose hope, and I pray you all will see me next time. I love you and goodbye.